this message of love being our decision. If you just stop for a moment without thinking about it as a song, but as a decision, love is ours to make in every moment. So I want to, before I start giving my talk today, I just want to say thank you, because gratitude is an energy that we get to step into. It's another moment-to-moment decision, right? And as we are in the energy of gratitude, we are in receivership. So I'm so grateful to be here. To Marianne Davis, of course, for opening her home to me, for Reverend Evie, for Sherry, for everybody who is here today. And then there's my beautiful family. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your support and your love through the years. So, today's talk is on legacy. And you guys, I have given this talk a lot of times. And there's the talk that I've written, and then there's spirit. So I had decided a while ago that, you know what? The talk is here somewhere, and spirit is in charge. So I'm going to just free flow and say what I need to say, because spirit is calling. It's channeling through me to just deliver the message that is asked of me. So I'm totally surrendered. And this is my affirmation for today. I am a loving, joyful, creative leader, spirit-led, faith-filled, totally surrendered, unbounded, and extraordinary. And so I know those are a lot of words, but the last two, unbounded and extraordinary, those are the last, I think that's like the fourth definition for the word crazy. So, if you call me crazy, I'll be like, thank you. Thank you for seeing me. Because I can be unbounded and I can be extraordinary. So that's my affirmation. That's the way I decided I'm going to live my life. So I have my notes here in my handy-dandy telephone. So if I go like this and I can't see, it's because I can't see. You're going to have to just bear with me. So where do I start? I love this idea of healing. That unity has this healing energy, healing spirit, healing movement. And in essence, healing is basically the embrace and the remembrance. It's kind of like the coming home, right? The remembering of spirit within us. This is homecoming. A lot of people come to unity and they say, oh, it feels like home. Because in essence, we're seeing you and we're recognizing you, not as the human person that you are. Of course, you're human, right? But we're seeing the heart of who you are. We're seeing your spirit. We're seeing your soul. And so because we embrace you, it feels like, oh, wow, we're home. We're with our people. And so today's talk is really very interesting because it's a story about legacy and also about my healing journey. And before I jump into that, well, you know what? Let's just jump into that. So I've been to different talks, different congregations, and what I like to do is involve the conversation with the people who are in front of me. Are you guys open to a little call and response today? Possibly? I don't know. Everyone's so quiet. It's church and you're supposed to be proper, right? But I decided, you know what? It's church. It gets to be fun. We're unity. It gets to be fun. So I'm going to do, let's see. It's not up there. That's okay. So this is the call and response. I'm going to say life meets us at our level of consciousness. And what I would like the response to be is I am awake and I am intentional, which is beautiful because I realize Reverend Evie has been doing this whole series about being on purpose, right? Being intentional. So I'm going to say life meets us at our level of consciousness, and you're going to say, I am awake and I am intentional, right? Let's do that again so that we can get it in our noggins, right? Life meets us at our level of consciousness. Together, I am awake and I am intentional. Okay, people at home, we can't hear you. Life meets us at our level of consciousness. Together, I am awake and I am intentional. Yes, and I might add that you can't give what you don't have. You can't give what you don't have. Okay, so amen. So what does it mean to be awake? Does anyone have any idea here what it means to be awake? Go ahead, shout it out. In tune with the presence. Very good. Who else? Aware, in tune with the presence, being awake. Anybody else?
Out of the bed.
Okay, he said out of the bed. That is my 16, almost 17-year-old son. So it's 11:35, and he's awake, and he's out of bed. That's a win. Yes, thank you, Kaden. So yes, being awake is remembering that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, but that we are spiritual beings having very human experiences. We're spiritual beings having human experiences. That's a direct quote from a Jesuit priest, Pierre de Chardin. So forgive my French, it's not the best, but you get it. So being intentional is to be on purpose, to have direction. And, this congregation has already been through an intentional series. So thank you, Reverend Evie, wherever you are. So the other thing I want to preface with the talk is that life is a mirror, right? So what does that mean? Does anybody have any idea what that means when people go, well, you're experiencing that because, life is a mirror. What does that mean? Anybody? If you spot it, you got it. Oh, that's good. You rhyme and everything. Who's next? Just blurt it out. Yeah, it shows us our beliefs. Beautiful. Yes. Anybody else? Personal reflection. Yes, thank you. I love you guys. You're so good.
All of the things that we see in life are things that exist in our mind.
Beautiful. Yes, everything that we see in life is a reflection of how we see life. That's my philosophical husband that said that. Thank you, Cliff. So what do we do when we get up in the morning and we stretch? You guys can stretch if you want. It's okay to be in your bodies. Let's be in our bodies, you guys. Get coffee, you stretch, you get coffee, you look in the mirror, and you're getting ready for work or for Sunday or whatever. And then, a hair's out of place, right? Whatever. Do you go into the mirror and you fix the mirror? The answer is no, you don't. You don't fix the mirror, you fix your own hair, right? So life is a mirror. When something is mirroring for us what we like, what we dislike, what shows up for us in experience, we get to go, oh, that's interesting. If life is a mirror, which part of my outfit, metaphorically, of course, although sometimes it's literal, which part of my outfit, I'm adjusting myself, which part of my outfit is out of place? And how do I get to show up differently? So take that in context of what I'm going to share with you, because my story is absolutely about legacy. It's about my dad's story. So Dad and I have a really interesting relationship. We actually have a very sacred contract. He's passed away. He passed when Caden was probably 6 years old, so about 10 years ago. Let me go back and talk about my, I don't know where to start, actually, because Dad is Dad, right? I've always wanted a father that is engaging with their children and to be present. I didn't have that with my dad. So I remember having memories of him when I was 2 or 3 years old, where we were playing and wrestling in the living room and him being Dad. That was probably like my most cherished memory of him, because when I was 5 years old, I need to back up and tell you that I was born in Vietnam during the war. So when I was 5 years old, my mom decided, you know what, we're not going to live in this oppressive condition. And let's just run away from home, she decided. I'm sure it's not as lighthearted as I make it out to be. But she didn't want to be in that environment, so she did what she could, and she got us on a boat to leave. We were part of that wave of refugees that left Vietnam. So when I was 5, I had separated from my dad, and then I lived my life for about 9, 10 years. And I was here in the United States with my single I guess she's not single, but she's a single mother, right, raising me. And I had all these dreams about Dad. Like, ooh, I can't wait to meet my dad when he finally comes because yada, yada, yada. I had that dream. So when I was 14, he came back into my life, and I was thrilled. What I didn't know about Dad is that he was an alcoholic. So he had some challenges in his life. And in the disease, and I got to know him for about 2 years. In the disease, he was not very sober. He oftentimes drank, and he would come home emaciated in the middle of the living room. And he was really violent and drunk, and he was in a lot of pain, if you can imagine, right? We all have challenges. That was his. And when he got drunk, he became violent. And remember, I was brought up by my mom in a quiet environment. I was a latchkey child. And in those 2 years, I saw the dynamics between my mom and my dad, and it broke my heart. Because when he got drunk, he would get violent, and then guess what happened? Domestic violence, right? So there were times when they would be yelling and screaming and whatever, so I would just leave the house. And I did really well in school. I flourished in school because it was like my escape from the home life. There were a couple of times that I had to go visit my mom at the hospital because of that, and it broke my heart. So that was Dad. So why am I telling you this story? Why am I telling you the story? Let me get to my point, which is right here. So there are overt battles, and there are inner covert battles within all of us. And Dad, overtly, you can tell what was happening with him. But inside his inner being, there were, I guess the colloquial term we would use is that he had demons he had to work out. So it was on an extreme level. So over the years, I had worked with this, and I'm able to tell the story now because I have integrated it and recovered that part of me that couldn't process why I had this experience. So this is where we are right now in terms of our community. We are in relationship to each other. We're in community. It's very much a family dynamic. I was telling Chris about this as we had a wonderful conversation before we even started our day, that you will run into other people in the community who may mirror for you that which is not healed. And then what happens next if you don't heal it? So that's the question. And how does that play into legacy? Well, I can stand here and tell you, yes, we can live a legacy of love. We could come up here and pray and be happy and talk about good, positive things, but if we don't do our inner work, and if we have our shadows behind us that we're not excavating, they become the blocks in our life that we can't move past. So it's a really interesting dynamic. So over the years, I've recovered my shadow with my dad, and I'd realized that he and I had a sacred contract. I think I started this, right? That does anybody here know what sacred contracts are, by the way? No, okay, well, that's interesting. Well, I'm glad I asked, because then I would be just off on a tangent talking about it. So sacred contracts, there's a book written by Carolyn Myss, M-Y-S-S. She wrote a book called Sacred Contracts. She's also got many different books. I'm trying to remember some of it. The Anatomy of the... No, that's not her. That's Brene Brown. Okay, let's just stick with sacred contracts. Sacred contracts are basically soul contracts that you have with others in your life. So, my husband and I have a sacred contract. My son and I have a sacred contract. Reverend Evie and I have a sacred contract. My dad's sacred contract with me is such that so the premise of sacred contract, let me back up. The premise of sacred contracts is to say, okay, before we dropped into this life here now, he and I as souls, and imagine this is for all of us, right? We get together as souls before we dropped into the physical form, We asked each other, hey, what do you want to experience? Let's go play in the sandbox of life. What do you want as your experience? Well, I want to know what love is. I want to know what betrayal is. I want to know how to forgive someone. I want to know what abundance feels like as a human being in this lifetime. So I looked at the sacred contract between Dad and I had realized, wow, I generated this. I generated a man who showed me what it's like to love and who showed me what it's like to make a decision of love regardless of the situation or the circumstance, regardless of whatever it is. So he's a really good example. He's taught me so much in my life by the essence of being who he was, regardless of the situation or the circumstance. So if you just take a moment right now and think about who in your life you have that with, right? I'm just going to say that word because there's always someone in our sphere who causes us to be uncomfortable, causes us to have disturbing thoughts, unpleasant sensations when we're around them. We just we don't want to be there for whatever reason. Just think about who that person or those people are in your life. Think about the family reunion, Thanksgiving. That should be pretty easy, right, for some of us. Those souls have an incredible gift for you because they are your best teachers. And if you are able to say, what could that be? And you actually look into it, I guarantee it will deepen your spiritual practice. It wouldn't be just like, I'm just coming here for fluff. I'm actually coming here to strengthen my spiritual muscle, which in this time and day, the world really, really needs, right? So part of Ken Wilber's platform is to grow up, say that again, to wake up, to grow up, there's a third one that I'm missing right now. Show up is the fourth one, yes. To wake up, to grow up, something, to show up. It's coming to me. I don't know why it's not in my sphere right now. To grow up, to wake up, grow up. Yeah. Exactly, thank you. Yeah, thank you for that compassion. So in this day and age, think about our political system. We don't talk about politics in church, right? I'm not going to. But if everyone were to just step back and do their shadow work, I talk about shadow work a lot because I'm a certified quantum living coach. So I teach people in removing the blocks that stop them. If you have a block that is stopping you from doing whatever it is that you're here to do, create a business, have deeper, meaningful relationships with your family, maybe leave a legacy behind, you get to remove that. Because if you don't remove it, you're just going to be spinning your wheels, right? So with regard to legacy, love is the decision to be the legacy that we are. And if you stop to think about it, we are the cumulative energy of everyone that have come before us in our family, in our unity legacy, in our friendship circle. Because without them, we wouldn't be present today. And so why am I talking about legacy? Because it's really important. Because unity as a whole in this day and age, we're kind of moving into that elder years of our existence. And we get to think about who comes after us. For us to clean up who we are, for us to show up in community, it's not really just about us. When you really get it, you're going to step into that space of going, okay, I'm not doing this for me. It's not an ego thing anymore. I'm doing this for the children. I'm doing this for the future generations. I'm doing this because I'm not just talking about peace on earth or singing about peace on earth, but I become the agent of change, the source of transformation itself. So, Do you guys remember the affirmation? Does anybody remember? No. I am awake and I am intentional is the affirmation. So life meets us at our level of consciousness. Together, I am awake and I am intentional. Very good. Life meets us at our level of consciousness. I am awake and I am intentional. So if you come across someone who is a mirror for you that you like or dislike, it is a really great opportunity for you to take a look at that relationship and be awake and intentional about it, and you get to shift and be that legacy of love that you've come to be. Amen.